comes from Spurs Wave on Instagram. And the question is, what do you think the Spurs need to do this offseason? So, Destin, we'll keep it right here with you. Some of our offseason priorities on our agenda. As soon as that final buzzer goes off on the season, if it ever does go off, we're all waiting on that. What do you think's the number 1, 2, 3 things that the Spurs need to address going into this offseason?
It's so tough. I would say, just me personally, my personal opinion is I would say go after a center at some point, maybe a center or just a big man in general. And you guys mentioning Christian Wood, that's fine with me, because at this point we know LaMarcus Aldridge, is on his way out. Either he finish off his contract and he leaves back to Blazers or however they do it. But we know that he's on his way out. So I would say that would be probably the number one priority, because it was blatantly obvious this season that it's kind of Jakob or bust as far as our centers. I mean, as soon as he got out, our season has already been awful, but when he was out, we looked even worse. So my personal opinion would be go after a big if you could. And I don't know if Luka is ready or Chimezi's ready. I'm not sure about all that, but I would say go after a big.
Going after a big and free agent. You're absolutely right. I mean, I think when LaMarcus went down, we're all kind of like yes, all right, cool, man. Let's unleash Jakob. You know what I mean? Let's see what he's done, how he's developed. Because I think, to give credit to Jakob, I think he developed a hell of a lot over the last offseason. And I think that he didn't get the chance to show us how much he did develop. So I was really excited. And then when he went down, we were small. We're Trey Lyles, where Drew Ebanks can't come in for a couple spot games here and there. And it hurt us defensively. And I think that's what you were talking about, Destin. Defensively, we went down the hole when our bigs stopped defending the rim. So, Harrison, I'll throw it to you next. This offseason priorities. There's plenty. That's no doubt. But if you're the GM, what's number 1 on your agenda?
Number 1 is let Marco Bellinelli walk. I'm going to throw that out there. I love Marco. I do still think he has a place in this league. I just think this team needs to revamp the direction it goes. I'll be a bit different here. One thing that intrigues me is Golden State has a $17.7 million trade exception from getting rid of Andre Iguodala. So essentially they can trade for somebody and give them nothing in return. Possibly a pick, though. So I think if we get to the draft, we got to see where Golden State picks. If not, I wouldn't mind sending Rudy Gay over to them. He's friends with the Warriors guys. He makes $14 million. Send him over there. They could use somebody like him. Give us a second-round pick or something, and that frees up a spot. And like Destin was saying, go after a big. I'll expound upon that. I think they need to go after, like we talked about, Christian Wood, but multifaceted players. So, guys who can shoot, drive, pass, score, kind of like we had on that 2014 team, because as it is, I say trade Rudy. I love the guy, but his outside game falters at times. He's a mid-range slasher player, not the greatest distributor. We have too many one-trick ponies on this team. Yeah. Same with Marco. And I'll get into it later, but I think make an offer to Forbes on a team-friendly deal. We have another question about that I'll expound upon my reasoning. But and yeah, I think the big thing is just multi-talented, multi-ability players that can space the floor, hit shots over contested defensive contests just in case, the defense falters. Guys who are okay not standing out and taking a star role, but working for the better of the team. So yeah, we're in concurrence there.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I think Rudy Gay is definitely like one of the pieces on the board for us to worry about this offseason. And like you said, I loved Rudy Gay. I was really hyped on Rudy. I was very happy for Rudy Gay last year when we gave him that contract, because he had just balled out. Like, he had just had a great season. But then the Spurs did what they did with Pau Gasol and projected your 2 years later, you're the next 2 years of your payroll based on what you did and not what you're going to do for us in the future. And I love Rudy, but I thought about this a lot this season. You guys tell me if I'm wrong. I thought that isn't Rudy Gay just Carmelo without the ego?
little bit, a little less of the shot too.
Like, they get the same? Doesn't Rudy Gay get the same looks? I guess that's the way I should put it. He gets the same looks that Carmelo gets when he's on the floor, but Carmelo needs the status, he needs the starting spot, he needs the touches and all those things, where Rudy Gay just has a similar game that's not really meant for today's NBA. And every time Rudy Gay's on the floor,
because back in Memphis, that's who they kept comparing him to. Oh, he's going to be the next Anthony and carry that scoring load. It's like you said, it just doesn't translate well to 2020.
No, it doesn't. And it hurt us, and it hurt us a lot. Matty, we'll go to you next. Off-season agenda. What's priority number one?
Yeah, I think Harrison hit the nail on the head when he was talking about too many one-trick ponies. I mean, Rob, I was on your podcast last Saturday or whenever it was, and that's exactly what we talked about. We just have too many guys, particularly, on the defensive end, that just don't offer anything. And, I think you see that a lot in, Bryn Forbes, Marco Bellinelli, and, even Patty Mills. Like, I like Patty's veteran presence, obviously, but, looking more specifically, I like Marco Bellinelli and Bryn Forbes. I mean, Bryn Forbes, third in the minutes on the team, and yet if you look at every defensive metrics, he's one of the worst defenders in the league. I mean, the guy can't guard his lunch money from a fifth grader, like I said. So, like I said on your podcast, they need more versatile defenders, guys that can switch anywhere on the perimeter, and I think they have that. With the young guys in the backcourt, I think Lonnie and Keldon can switch in the perimeter. I think DeJounte and Derek have obviously proven themselves as, top-tier perimeter defenders. I think Jakob Poeltl's an excellent defender in the post, so I think he was fourth in the league, actually, in opponents' field goal percentage at the rim. So it was like Giannis, Brook Lopez, Robin Lopez, which is crazy to have three players on the same team for the Bucks. And then Jakob Poeltl was fourth. I think his opponent field goal percentage at the rim was like 45%. So that's insane. But, as far as offseason agenda goes, they need to get back to their, defensive ways, and defense being a staple of their team. And, to even go even further, they really need to get back an identity. I think, you look at all the best teams in the league, they have an identity. Yeah, and, talking to any Spurs fan, what's the Spurs identity? Are they, a great offensive team? Are they a great defensive team? Are they shooters? They don't have an identity. They don't have any of that. Last year, even, you could argue that they had an offensive identity. They had a top five team offensive efficiency-wise. They had, four guys off the bench shoot 40% or around 40% from three, and Rudy, Marco, Patty Mills, and Davis Bertans. And so, you see a lot of regression from some of those guys this year. We lost Davis. So, they really just need to get back to their old ways of having defense being a staple. They need to get more versatile defenders on the perimeter. I think they have decent rim protectors as it is right now. Like Destin said, I wouldn't be mad about going after another center in free agency or the draft or whatever the case may be. So they just need to get back to their identity, and their identity is defense.
Yeah, each topic that you guys threw out right now is absolutely crucial. And I think we're all looking at this question like, okay, besides DeMar, besides, LaMarcus, where else on our team do we need what else on our team do we need to address? And I think y'all hit it on the head. Honestly, I was going to say our free agents, we got to figure out what we're going to do with Jakob. Are we going to bring him back? Are we going to commit to him? And the same thing with Bryn Forbes. Can we, Peter Holt, RC Buford, charm him into taking a team-friendly deal? I hope so. But I feel like priority-wise, it's defense, like you said, and we have those tools already on us. We have Keldon. We have Derek White, DeJounte, some of the probably top defenders on the perimeter in the league already, so young. So bringing back our free agents, deciding what we're going to do with those would be mine. All right, so let's go ahead and go on to the next question. All right, Spurs Nation, we're going on to our next question. This one comes to you from Bucking Spurs Instagram page from _Monty_. The other day on Instagram, I reposted a video of Steven Jackson talking about Steve Kerr. I don't know if y'all saw that. He has that new podcast show on Showtime called All the